high level, high thinking kind of, high thinking kind of jobs where they will be thinking critically, because whatever a machine can learn, but it still hasn't learned how to think, right? So those kind of jobs will only survive, and those kind of jobs will be the jobs that the students will have to do. So you have to be comfortable with uncertainty, and you have to be comfortable with technology. So what happens these days is many of you will choose, say, humanities. Many of you have chosen social sciences. Others will choose sciences. And when you go into very, conservative colleges, you will read only your subject. So after 11th and 12th, that will become even more narrow. You say, I'm doing a graduation in physics, or I'm doing a graduation in history. And for 3 years, you will read history and only history, right? But in a liberal education, we teach students not only history, but also to be a good historian. And how do you become a good historian, or how do you become a good physician? If you know your subject, but you also know how your subject is being impacted by other subjects, right? So the impact of other subjects on your discipline, the impact of your discipline on other disciplines, how the two come together. So if you look at the coronavirus problem right now, so the slide hasn't come up for some reason, it's not loaded. But Vijay, I'll wait for it to load. So, how these two come together. So if you look at the coronavirus issue today, is it a biological problem? Is it a sociological problem? The way it's spreading, the way we are praying together, sitting together, partying together, we are spreading it. So it's a sociological problem. It's a biological problem. It's a health problem. It's an environmental problem. So every problem today will have so many different ways to look at it, and it will require a lot from you to solve that problem, because no one person will be able to solve it. So if we say a biologist should solve this, but no, we need the economist also, because the economy is going for a complete toss right now. So we need a psychologist, because people are traumatized by this whole thing, right? So every problem these days is going to require many ways of thinking. So a liberal education degree really pushes you to start looking at problems from multiple perspectives. And you will only be able to do that if, and only if, you have an understanding of other disciplines also. If you have only studied one subject for 3 years, for 4 years, and then again for the next 2 years, you will not be able to solve the very complex problems that are coming up, right? So the presentation that's up finally, it says that, and I've almost gone through it, saying, that you are going to work with other humans, you're going to work with technology, you're going to work with so many people, right? So in many ways, we were dealing with people who did not look like us. I was dealing, maybe in my company, I was dealing with somebody from, Germany in my job, or somebody in Germany is dealing with somebody in Japan. So it's so important for us to understand these cultures. It's also important for us to, be able to be comfortable with all these things. So the slide that's coming up, thanks, Naveen, is that, so in all this, what kind of skills is the employer looking for? The employer doesn't just want you to have knowledge about your subject. The employer wants you to have very high emotional quotient, because machines don't have emotional quotient, you do, right? So you should be able to empathize with people. If you are somebody who's a great team player, somebody who can really collaborate with people, somebody who's resilient. By resilient, we mean, like today, everything has changed, but has it brought us down? No, we are resilient people. We have quickly found new ways, right? So you have to have a lot of integrity, because the world is so connected today. You make one mistake online, and your words, or that one line that you wrote on Twitter, is going to affect thousands and thousands of people across the world. one WhatsApp message that you forward can cause riots, right? So integrity is equally important. And yes, communication skills. I'm sitting here talking to you over a screen, and I should be able to communicate my ideas to you effectively, correct? Can we have the next slide, please? So most employers are looking for these skills, because anything else you will learn. And even if you don't learn those other things in your graduation, you will learn them. So if you're working as a computer scientist, you will very quickly have to keep changing yourself. So what you learned in college, in 2 or 3 years, it's going to become redundant already. So what should you do? You have to keep learning over and over again. So it's not important what you learn so much in your college, but it's important that you become a learner, that you develop these of, very quickly changing yourself, adapting yourself, very quickly learning new skills, because you'll have to be a learner all your life. Gone are the days when I was graduating or my parents were graduating. They learned something in their college, they used it for 20 years in their jobs. Now that won't happen. Every 3 years, every 4 years, you will have to reskill yourself again and again, because the world is changing so fast, right? So what should the education of today look like? So I would say education of today has to be liberal. It has to have no silos, meaning department in chemistry does not talk to department of economics. Department of economics does not talk to department of political science. Do you think economics and political science can ever be separated? What our leaders say today is going to affect the economy, right? So no silos. By silo we mean separate isolation chambers, not like that. Nobody can study anything in isolation anymore. Everything has to be interdisciplinary, everything has to be connected. And when you are reading content, students, you should start to question. Unfortunately, our school system hasn't allowed us to question. We are told to sit back, listen to what the teacher is saying, and mug it up, rote it up, give it, in our board exams, just give out whatever we have learned by heart. But that's not the kind of education that you should be getting. I think you should be getting education where you get content, and then you look at the content in a very critical manner, and you ask questions. Is this true? And why? Why is this? If this is so, then how does it affect that? And if that is so, then how does it affect this? So that is not known as context along with content. So liberal education pushes students, pushes them a lot to engage with content, to interact with content. It's not just a chapter, it's not a reading that you read and reproduce in your exams, but you understand it and you think about it. So liberal education will push you to become a learner. It will push you to become a thinker. The ability to question, to recognize that this may be somebody's bias. Somebody who wrote it, it's his opinion. It does not have to be my opinion. I can have my own opinion. So students in a liberal learning environment learn how to form their own opinions. They learn that it's important to be comfortable with uncertainty. They learn that it's important to respect other people's viewpoints, but it's also important to have your own viewpoint, right? Can we have the next slide, please, Naveen? Yeah. So, it was all these things that were kept in mind when a lot of industry leaders, a lot of academic scholars came together and started, what they called a new university, Krea University in Andhra Pradesh. And this is a huge, huge university, and it's going to be an international university located in India. So not only will Indian students be studying here, but students from all over the world will be coming to study here. And I'm not sure if you know these people, but they are very, very eminent people, and they're global leaders. They're not just Indians, they're international leaders. Can we have the next slide, Naveen? So, Krea is offering a BA and a BSc honors degree. We also offer MBA and PhD, but for you, it's a BA honors and BSc honors degrees, which is in liberal arts and sciences. So another thing I'd like to talk to you, which is very important about liberal education, that is how when you go to the university, which is liberal, you not only learn from your faculty, you also learn from other students. Now, how does that happen? That happens because I am bringing you into the university. You love economics and maths. So at this liberal university, you will choose to study economics and maths. Well, there is another student who likes physics and maths. So he will be studying physics and maths. In the maths class, both of you will come together. So he will give you a scientific perspective. You will give him a social science perspective. So this is called beehive learning. This is called learning where multiple perspectives come together in a class. So in a class of mathematics, there will be researchers, there will be historians, there will be scientists, there will be social scientists, there will be economists, there will be artists. So imagine in one class, so many different kind of people. But if you go to a regular college, everyone is studying the same subjects for 3 years, so there is no difference of opinion. Nobody is opening your mind. So liberal education literally opens your mind to many, many different ways of thinking. Correct? Can we have the next slide, please? Yeah. So you know, all this is for Krea, but all liberal educations will really push you to not only understand your subjects and other subjects along with it. It'll also, you know, push you to understand how these ideas have evolved. That's what we call historicity. What are the unanswered questions in this subject? You know, mathematics has some mysteries which nobody has been able to solve. But it doesn't mean that your generation cannot solve it, because obviously Einstein was born in one generation. So, you know, the young would come up and find solutions to this, something that our generation never found. So it's important that these questions are asked in the class, and people and students are pushed to think about them, that nobody has solved this till now. Why don't you think about it? Why don't you do some research about it? So that's how Krea's you know, whole philosophy is, that, you know, when you're in a class, you're learning from your faculty, you're learning from your peers, you're learning about how ideas evolve. You're also looking at questions that have never been answered. You're learning how to communicate, you're learning how to research, you're learning to be an ethical person with a lot of integrity, right? Can we have the next one? I'll go to the chat box after this. Please do keep sending in your questions. So in any liberal university and also in Krea, when you join, you don't choose what subjects you're going to take. So in maybe a university like a state university or any other older universities, you say, I am joining the you know, chemistry BSc honors, right? But in a liberal university, you don't do that. You come into a batch, all 150, 200, 500, whatever the university is taking, everyone comes into a single batch. For 1 year, they do a foundation course. Now that foundation course is very important because it's going to expose you to different subjects. Because in school, you may have made up your mind, I want to do economics, but that's because you've never studied chemistry. Or a chemistry kid, science kid would have never studied economics or history, and suddenly when he'll you know, see history in the way it's being taught, he may want to change his mind. So we expose you in the foundation to all subjects, to introductory lectures to all subjects, you know, and it's so fascinating because you're becoming more well-rounded. You're learning about so much more that other students would never learn. You learn communications, you learn data skills, you learn computers, you learn about how history has evolved. What was the world like so many centuries ago, and what is the world like now? And it's not class 10th level. This is higher level understanding, right? So you come in, you do a foundation course. That is what is written on your screen saying first year core and skill. Okay, that's the foundation course. Then after that, you choose your major. So after 1 year, you are smarter as to what you really want to do. You have understood that, no, I love data sciences and I love the computer science program. That's what I'm going to do. So you choose that. Now what happens is you still have 8 courses left over, and you can choose those anywhere. So suppose you have decided, I want to do computer science. Fine, you will do 15 courses in computer science. But what do I do with the rest of the 8 courses? So you can shop around. You can say, this whole macroeconomics course that is being offered in economics, I love that. And I love this political science course, and I love the art and creative expression course. So you can pick up courses from across so many, and just imagine that kind of learning, right? So, or you can also say, I'm doing 15 in computer science, but I'll do 8 in economics so that I have 2 career choices ahead of me. Once I have finished my graduation, I can go into economics also, and I can go into computer science also. So that means that you're a double specialist now. And if you spend more time, you take up more courses, you can even double major. So you have 2 specializations. That is only possible in a liberal education. That is not possible in a normal, conventional kind of learning environment. Okay. Also, liberal education seeks to build in you, skills that are required for the workplace. So there is a coming together of industry and studies and academics. So industry and academics come together in internships. So you have a 3-month summer holidays. So I'm calling them holidays, but they're not really holidays, because in those 3 months, everyone does either they do an internship, or they go to another university and do another courses, right? So if you're doing an internship, you can do it in so many different fields, and the university has its own placement cell, it has its own career services. They are going to get you the internships that you should do. So if you are somebody who's studying history and economics together, what are the kind of internships you should get? The career services will get you that internship. It will not get you any internship and say, we have got this, you take it, you like it, you don't like it, you don't. It's not like that. It's very personalized. Every student has a personalized design of his undergraduate program. You are designing your undergraduate program, so you get to choose, what do I want to study? Okay, next, Naveen. I'll just put this up slide for 2 minutes and then we'll quickly move, Naveen. So these are the subjects that you will do in the foundation course. So as you can see, it's about science, a little bit about maths, about art, literature, creativity, data analytics, design thinking. So you know what we are doing? We are starting to put you on a path of discovering many different areas of study, many different areas of many different ways of thinking. So we are introducing you to all of them, so that in the next year, you are in a better position to choose. Also, things like data analytics. Nobody is going to survive in tomorrow's world without data. Where do you get data from? You open your laptop, you open Google, you are getting data from everywhere. One side says something, the other side says something else, your phone says something else, your WhatsApp messages are saying something else. Are you the kind of person who can make sense of all this data? Because you have to. Right now, you're a student. You can even not think about it. But when you're in a workplace, when you're a manager, when you're a director, you will have to think of all the data and see what's right and what's not right. Or if I put this data along with this data, this is the conclusion, this is the decision that I come to. So you have to learn how to make sense of data. Whether you study English or whether you study computer science, both of you need to understand data, right? Naveen, let's move on. So, this is what Krea is offering right now. We will offer you all these as majors. So each of you will choose one major. You can choose any out of these as your major, and you can combine it with a second subject as your minor, right? So you could combine political science with computer science, or history with physics, or chemistry with bio. Whatever you want to combine from these 2 lists, you will specialize in you can specialize in 2 subjects. Or you do one specialization and take few courses everywhere else. So I hope you do look at the options and see what really stands out to you and what is it that you would like to study. And of course, in Krea, you can come, and in the second year, you can really change your mind. You don't have to definitely do what you thought when you were coming in. Next, please. Yeah, so we also have business studies as an option. So while you are studying any subject, you can also look at business studies, because we also have a business school. We have an MBA also program running in the same campus. So while you are doing any subject, you can take business studies as a minor along with it, which means you become a domain specialist, you're a specialist of one subject, plus you have the understanding of the business side of it, right? So we don't have any prerequisites. So you're lucky there. If you have not studied mathematics, you can still do maths at Krea. You can still do economics at Krea. You can still do science at Krea. So we will not ask you what did you study in your 11th and 12th. You can do what you want at Krea, but you have to get admission. So admission is a little difficult. We will be looking at, what kind of a person you are. Your whole profile we will look at. So if you join Krea, you can study what you want here. We will not say that you have not done this or that. And if by any chance we see that you need some support, or you need some bridge program in English, or you need a bridge program in mathematics, or a bridge program in sciences, then we have our own labs. All these labs will help you, develop those skills which are required. Next, please. I've already talked to you about these, that you can go abroad, you can go to other partner universities, you can do summer programs, you can do internships. So this is a repetition of that. Just move on, please. And this is not true only for Krea. All liberal universities have a lot of tie-ups with a lot of universities, governments, Australian governments, international bodies. All these are places where you can go and do your summer study programs. You can do semester. You're studying in, India, but out of the 6 semesters, you can do 1 semester, it may be in London, or 1 semester in the US. Or so these are not all the partnerships that Krea has. We also have tie-ups with U Chicago. We have tie-ups with Oxford. So a lot of those are even coming up. And by the time you people move to class 12th, and we'll have a lot more partnerships. So much opportunity to do internships and summer abroad, study abroad programs, right? And yes, Krea has, because we want to be an international university, we want to attract students from all over the world to come to India. We have got some of the best minds from across the world. We have literally handpicked them to come and teach. Just look at the list of places that they come from. And this is just 10 or 12. We have almost 35 faculty members who are as amazing and come from all these really best places in the world. Can we just move on? So one is faculty. We have 35 faculty members who are full-time, and only about 120 students. So you imagine what small class sizes we have. But we also invite a lot of experts. So I would say at least 2 experts come every week to Krea to talk to students, to give them, have discussions. And these could be authors and performers, or economists, or CEOs of companies, or entrepreneurs, or from the civil society, development sector, government sector. So they all come and they talk to our students. So the exposure that they get is much more than they would get in any other university. Next, please. So, your professors, your teachers had asked me to talk about what after liberal arts. So just like a liberal education is personalized. You have one program, your friend has another different program design, somebody else is doing something else. Just the same way, liberal education is not only preparing you for one field. Now, if you do a BA history from a regular university, you can probably either go for research or for teaching, or very small, jobs. But because you are from a liberal education, not only have you studied your subject, you have got skills like design thinking, critical thinking, communication skills, computer skills, data analytical skills. You can really go into anything you want. You are, I would say you are a graduate plus. If they are just others are graduates, you will become a graduate plus, because you have so many skills much more than anyone else. The world of jobs is going to be the same, but as a graduate, you are bringing much more to a job than any other student can bring in, right? So you are much smarter, you're much better education, you're a learner, you're an adapter, you're a great communicator, because communication has a very, very strong thread in liberal education. So you are prepared to go to a corporate sector. You can go for higher education, and especially from universities like Krea, because Krea has tie-ups with so many foreign universities. You will be able to do your masters anywhere in the world. You can go, because we teach our children to be, socially and environmentally very conscious. You can go in the development sector. You can go and work for NGOs. You can go and do social work where you really want to do. You can start your own stuff. You can start your own entrepreneurship. You've done business studies minor. Nothing is stopping you from starting your own venture. Creativity, government sector. Go to the government and be a change maker. So Krea's ambition is to take very few children. We take very few students. We don't take huge thousands of students in one class. We take 150, 200 students. But we want to make them leaders. We want to make them change makers, so that every one of those 100 students, when he goes out in the society, he is going to make a change to the society. So these are leadership programs I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just do a graduation and just go and do some small jobs. No, we are training our children to become leaders of tomorrow. Right? Next, please. So this is just a little bit about the kind of students we have, and we took in our first batch last year. We've already bringing in our second batch. We've made offers to almost 150 students already, and these are very, very bright students. So admissions to Krea is a little tough, but it's easy for somebody who's a good fit. So these kids are not only very bright in academics, but they are musicians, dancers, writers, a lot. So I'm going to very quickly run you through these presentation now, because I can see a lot of questions and I want to answer those questions now. So the students have formed their clubs, their government, their own committees. They are very, very vibrant campus. And these are just pictures of the campus. Naveen, you can just, after every 2 seconds, just change them. Give 3 seconds to it and then change it. I'm going to let you read these for a minute. Move on. Yeah, so for all those sports enthusiasts, we have great sports on campus. And because we are outside the city, we have our own salon, we have our own shops, we have our own ATM machines, cafes, eateries, everything inside. And it's a beautiful campus. It has so many places where you can sit and interact with each other, because liberal education requires a lot of discussion among students. So we have places like that. So it's a very safe campus. It's being managed by ex-Army and ex-Air Force people. We have our own ambulance. We have our own medical center. The hostel rooms are completely air-conditioned, twin sharing, with attached bathrooms, geysers, with all the latest fittings in them. We have great connectivity with Chennai. The shuttles are available for students to go to Chennai whenever they want to. And it's a beautiful campus. It's very nature friendly. We have mountain trails around, mountain hiking trails around the campus. We have a lake, we have a Pulakat lake near our campus. We have a water body inside the campus, which pictures of what you saw. So since you're in 11th, I'm not going to go too much into the admissions process, but I'm going to really tell you that we are looking to make a class. Right? We are not looking to, it's not a competitive admissions process. It's not like all children who are sitting there, it's a competition. It's not a competition. We are going to look at your complete profile, and you will be picked up for one reason Another student may be picked up for another reason. We may pick up one student because he's an avid reader and his knowledge is great. We may pick up another student because while he's good at studies, he's also a Bharatanatyam, she's also a Bharatanatyam dancer and an amazing dancer. We could also pick up somebody who's because he's a blogger. And so there are many different reasons why we'll pick up one person. So it's not a competition. We generally open our admissions, we generally open our admissions in the month of October. So when you are in class 12 and and we are in October if you're class 12, that's when you can start applying to us. You don't have to wait for your board exams. It's a holistic process. It's a case study basis thing, and it's a lot of fun. And when you're in class 12th, I'll come again to tell you about the admission process. We conduct it over different rounds. So you can start applying in October. And whenever you are comfortable, you apply. You can apply till June the next year or May the next year. So there are almost 6 to 7 months where our admissions are open. So whenever you are comfortable, some children like to apply before board exams. Some students like to apply after board exams. So whatever you choose, whenever you can apply to us, but everyone will join in August. Okay. So the fees is about 6.5. I think, Naveen, that is updated now. So 6.75 per annum. But we offer financial assistance, which means that we will look at your family income. You can ask for financial aid, and we will look at your parents' family income. We will see how many dependents there are, how much help do you need, and Krea is ready to offer that help if we are offering you admissions. So if we think you're a bright student, we want you to be a part of the class, we will offer you financial assistance. Okay, so we will waive off the fees. So almost out of the almost 10 to 20% students don't pay anything to study at Krea. Other students pay only half the fees. Some pay only 25% of the fees, right? So don't worry about the fees. It's looking high, but when you actually, we offer you admission, we ask you, will you need financial assistance? If you need, we are ready to waive off the fees, okay? And it's not like only the very underprivileged will get it. Even middle class students who think that this is a high fee, you must ask for financial assistance, and we will try our best to give you whatever we can. Okay, we can close the screen, Naveen, now. Thank you. I'll just look at the chat box and